Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. The headlines. Stakeholders call for violent-free by-elections. Newly appointed health workers demand to be added to the database. Cooperatives have not failed, claims President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA. In international news, worsening drought threatens lives in eastern Kenya. And in sports, different sporting disciplines advised against exaggerating expenditure. Join me with the details after this commercial.
Are you a business organization or an individual with a dream to register your presence in Zambia and around the world? Waste no time, because Camnet Television is offering an opportunity to sponsor any of the following programs: the main news, national matters, breakfast show, the verdict, partnership of greatness, economic briefcase, business and sports news. For more details, call following numbers. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. Two former employees at a named Lebanese company in Chinika industrial area of Kanyama constituency have called on the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to normalize random inspections at industries to check the plight of Zambian workers, alleging that most of the employers are abrogating labor regulations. In an interview, one of the former workers, Boyd Tatila, explains that he, along with his colleague, were reported and locked up at Chinika police post within the area for 24 hours after they visited the company and demanded their one-year payment and gratuity following their dismissal on Monday. Meanwhile, Camnet News has also reached out to the said company to get their response on the matter.
Zambia may still be a long way when it comes to achieving the goal of creating decent work for all by 2030, as the labor market, especially industries, is filled with reports of unending alleged labor abrogations. The latest is that of two former workers at Best Choice and Manufacturing Limited, a Lebanese-owned company in Lusaka's Chinika industrial area, where two employees alleged that the human resource at the said company, Mr. Alison Piri, had them locked up at Chinika police post on Wednesday after they visited the company to demand their one-year dues and gratuity following their dismissal on Monday. The duo, who were released from the police cells Friday morning, said they were not given a charge, adding that their phones are still confiscated.
Sonde mwenze after patafuta ati sivizachitika paka yo tipasendra because sipevo kuti yakunyumba isi muzofunga tipasa yo advance yose mnatipasi tifuna ndrama mutipasendra zatu tikaziyende then wanapoa wakana wewe so pala ize tambala mbata utasuza choka paka tipasendra zatu events okana so time depana kwa tumira bakapokola wanapoa bwela kuma 15 something napoa bwela bakapombo tifunza tanganchani Mumbo cha explain activity na pasoso kwa tuza 10 office.
So ningapembe kuti batitandizireko wa Minister of Labor because I problem monga pa company pato siko yati nikuyamba yayi. I problem ni kudara ndiye problem ametivutika na hivi. So tikafutana maningi monga chinyanja chauja wakuja mwena makambira tikafutana maningi isedza kuteka nje police wakapokola wakapwera kuliboti mkazi kapansi yayi wamafika sape wamanga tieni uko soko mzando mkambire ku office kuja iyo supereka explanation yayi kuja muntu ndiye apereka explanation ukatukambeko yowe weti wakambiretwa wakasiza che ukamba waja vulani sapato ngenani.
Meanwhile, a human rights activist, Francis Kamwena, has called on the current administration to ensure that there is change in the labor sector by seeing to it that no citizens are victimized.
So we are appealing to the government. We are appealing to the government to consider, to look after these youths who are being victimized. We are very much disappointed. It's the same company. If you go to Ministry of Labor, to labor offices, you find that the name which is there is the only company which is still mistreating Zambians. No inspections about labor officers going there to inspect to see what Zambians are being mistreated. Some of them, if they just go there as a labor officers, they just go there to management, they talk to them. They can't even call the workers there to ask them.
However, when reached for a comment, human resource of the said company, Alison Perry's phone went unanswered, but he is on record turning down a request for an interview from journalists when a similar complaint was lodged from former workers in March 2022. Camnet News has also reached out to the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit as the duo alleged that no charge was slapped on them despite them having been arrested. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lusaka City Council workers who have been operating at the Kulima Tower buildings have complained over unfair wages. The workers are concerned that the local authority did undercalculate their gratuity to a tune of 8,326 kwacha as opposed to 16,654 kwacha. They feel the local authority will not be able to pay them on time owing to the fact that the council owes them for about 5 months in unpaid salaries.
Local authorities in Zambia have been subject to the challenge of unpaid salaries, and in the past, this was attributed to low revenue generation among local authorities in the country due to low compliance levels among clients and most of all, the infiltration of political cadres in the running of markets and bus stations.
You're losing revenue. You're sitting on revenue. We've removed cadres from markets. We've handed markets to you. You are still not collecting revenue. What's the problem? Lusaka City, you are sitting on a lot of cash. Why are salaries behind? All of you. Why are salaries not paid on time? There's things you're not doing. You're not collecting enough revenue. Sometimes because you're not providing a service. Sometimes you're just not doing it. Sometimes when you collect revenue, you send it for wrong usage. Men need to look after yourselves. No, look after the people.
And when he addressed local authorities in Lusaka area this week, President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA wondered why some local authorities are still failing to pay workers. Friday, 19th August 2022, some council workers who have been laid off from the Lima Tower bus station are concerned that the council does not want to pay them their actual dues. The workers are concerned that the local authority has undercalculated their gratuity by opting to give them 8,326 kwacha as opposed to 16,654 kwacha.
Our areas, they will give us civic none for Lima Tower. But what the problem is they are saying when we are going to get the day when we are going to get our graduate is the day when those people civic send to Kulima Tower, they give us our arrears. Now we don't know when, because those people they are failing to pay those new people there. Already they have an arrear of 1 month. They are failing to pay 50 people who are there. Now how are they going to manage to pay the arrears of 4 months for these people? Look at the number of 145 people. And the other problem is those people, those officers there, those big like the directors, they are not addressing us. They are telling those juniors to address us. Them, they don't want to come on open to address us. That's the major challenge we are facing.
They feel the local authority may not be able to pay them on time.
So they're just saying they are going to devise a plan on how to pay those money. Because people are out of employment, that is the first place. Then they're saying the arrears accumulated, they're going to be paid by the same markets where we were working from, like for us, we are at Kulima Tower. So they're saying they're going to pay, they're the ones that are going to pay us. Now even them are also struggling with the payments for the workers there at Kulima Tower. So now we are wondering how are they going to manage to pay our arrears, because we are 140 something. And they are failing to pay, they're struggling with the 50 people they have that side. Because the manpower that we had together was the one which helped a lot to make our payments to be done. So since we are out of employment, the people are remaining a few. So they cannot manage to raise that money to pay all of us.
The workers say they will seek the intervention of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, which they say is already aware of their issue. By broadcast time, our efforts to get the perspective of the Lusaka City Council could not materialize. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Stakeholders have urged political parties to commit to the peace accord of zero political violence that was agreed on before the 2021 general elections and the upcoming by-elections in Kwacha and Kabushi constituencies slated for the 15th of September 2022. In an interview, Democratic Party member of the National Election Committee, Justin Nkonge, notes that similar peace accords were signed in 2018 by major political parties such as the United Party for National Development and the Patriotic Front, but those were not followed in subsequent by-elections as they were characterized by pockets of violence. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, an electoral expert, McDonough Jipenzi, says the onus is on individual political parties to sensitize their members on the negative effects of violence. The two parliamentary by-elections are slated for Thursday, 15th September 2022, after the two seats were nullified by the courts recently.
While the concept of democracy is for political parties to compete in ideas, political violence has characterized many elections in Zambia and led to a number of deaths. This vice has continued despite a peace accord being signed between major political parties such as the Patriotic Front (PF) and the United Party for National Development (UPND) in 2018, as the death of a UPND member, Lawrence Banda, was recorded shortly after this, as he died in the Kaoma Council by-elections in 2019. Another peace accord was in 2021 signed by some political parties ahead of the general election as a commitment to non-violence. Two seats, namely Kwacha constituency formerly held by Joe Malanji and Kabushi constituency formerly held by Boma Nusambo, were recently nullified by the courts of law on the basis of the former Kwacha MP not having a grade 12 certificate and the former Kabushi seat for election malpractice. With the dates for the two by-elections having been set for 15 September 2022, stakeholders have called on political parties to uphold the peace accord. Among these are Democratic Party DP member of the National Election Committee Justin Nkonge and electoral expert McDonough Jipenzi. Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe has also added his voice.
We want to appeal from President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA because as DP, we believe the Commander-in-Chief can end violence just by one word of mouth. We want to encourage the President that we've seen the path on which we are moving, that political violence has reduced. I will not say has stopped, has reduced drastically. But the President should even continue pressing on it and not allow violence either from UPND or from the opposition.
We hope that they will believe in those peace accords up to the end of the by-elections, including when we get in the general election, because it's not good also you sign a peace accord here, again you sign another one. It's the same peace that we are talking about, and the same peace that we need to respect. And in this case, we hope and believe that all political parties will have to operate within the precinct of peace.
What is also important is that whatever fancy or whatever urges that political players may come into, especially where acts of political violence are concerned, that they show maximum restraint and ensure that they do not engage in these acts, because these tend to have a disservice on the electorates who may be inclined to stay away from a particular process of voting, and by so doing they become disenfranchised. We don't want to see anyone become disenfranchised.
A clergyman, Bishop John Mambo, has also reminded the church on its role in advocating for peace in the country.
Or in denouncing a wrong thing. Please, this thing has passed. Let's develop our nation now. We have got 4 more years before election. Now it's about development. Now it's about creating employment. Now it's not time when we hear stories of children of so-and-so are getting employment, the others because of whatever. It's a heartbreaking in a Christian nation.
The stakeholders have warned against the negative effects of political violence, adding that it paints the country in a bad light. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Republican Progressive Party says it is hypocritical for the Socialist Party to suggest that the nullification of the Kwacha and Kabushi parliamentary election was an injustice. RPP acting party president and member of the United Party for National Development Alliance, Cassius Akapelwa, says the court's decision was based on the evidence that was brought before the court. Hence, it is illogical to base its resolution to support the PF in the forthcoming by-election. And Mr. Akapelwa says as an alliance member, they will be on the ground to mobilize voters to support the UPND owing to what he referred to as the favorable policies to take the country forward.
The Republican Progressive Party, RPP, says it is insincere for the Socialist Party to suggest that the nullification of the Kwacha and Kabushi constituency elections was an injustice. The Socialist Party has opted to endorse the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, because they feel it was an injustice for the court to nullify the election of Bowman Lusambo and Joe Malanji in Kabushi and Kwacha constituencies, respectively.
The judge of that court also disagrees with it. It's an unfair decision, it's an unjust decision, it's a decision that is not humane. We are not vouchers. We believe in acting in solidarity with those who have been unfairly treated.
RPP acting party president and member of the United Party for National Development UPND Alliance, Cassius Akapelwa, feels the court's decision was based on the case before it, wondering how fighting crime has become wrong.
Those seats of Kwacha and as well as Kabushi, you then understand the kind of leaders that we have in this country who supports illegality. The seats are nullified on the premise that there were a number of irregularities in those elections. Now, we are literally very amazed, and the citizens of this country, as well as the local people of Kabushi, as well as Kwacha, they should then realize to say we had a leadership that was mired with a lot of corruption and all those irregularities that were prior to the campaigns.
And Mr. Akapelwa says as an alliance member, they will complement the UPND in persuading voters in areas where the by-elections are being held. He says the UPND has demonstrated that it is taking the country in the right trajectory, hence the people should rally behind President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA.
They are welcome. We are ready as the UPND Alliance, just like as well, to move in and offer the people the required economic situations that have been pronounced. You cannot have such constituencies being superintended by the opposition. We are employing the local people from Kabushi, as well, residents of Kabushi, as well as Kwacha, that support the ruling party for immediate development, because we are now in capable hands. The president has been very categorical. If you listen to him, the economic turnaround should benefit those localities that will be represented by the members of parliament from the ruling party.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has set Thursday, 15th September 2022 as the date on which to hold the Kabushi constituency and Kwacha constituency by-election on the Copper Belt province in Ndola and Kitwe respectively. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Republican President of Zambia, President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, has dispelled the perception that the cooperative concept being spearheaded by the United Party for National Development Administration has failed. On the contrary, Mr. HICHILEMA says cooperatives are about leadership and employing good management skills in order to thrive. President HICHILEMA cited the Zambia Savings and Credit Union Society Limited as a success story that he said has opted to capitalize on the government policies. The president is happy that the Ubuntu movement took advantage of the World Expo in the United Arab Emirates to sign a deal with the UAE-based company to be supplying cheaper fuel in Zambia. This came to light during the Holt FM interview where the head of state pledged to facilitate market linkages.
President Hakainde Hichilema, as promised to interact with the Zambian people through various forms, is heeding to his commitment of appearing on both public and private media. Friday, the head of state appeared on Hot FM to discuss how his administration has fared thus far during the first year in office. During the program, among the key issues was the issue of forming cooperatives by the general members of the public as a means of benefiting from various government empowerment programs. On this subject, Mr. Hichilema dispelled claims that the concept of cooperatives has failed, as during the program, the Zambia Savings and Credit Union Society Limited leader and Ubuntu ambassador Chilekwa Mambwe testified of how they took advantage of the president's trip to the United Arab Emirates World Expo to seek an investment partner by signing a deal with an Arab-based company to supply cheaper fuel. However, Mr. Mambwe challenged President Hichilema to create market linkages for local businesses, and the president is happy that others are already taking a proactive approach by taking advantage of the opportunities being created by government.
This is very good, Chilekwa. Congratulations. I remember that we met this individual when we were in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai as a group of young people wanting to take advantage of the president's visit to that country to open up businesses. And I'm very pleased that they signed an agreement with the UAE supplier. And Chilekwa will do the best that we can. Again, my colleagues, let's take note of Chilekwa, get hold of him and walk him through to the right department.
The head of state says good leadership is key to a successful cooperative.
The cooperatives have failed in the past. Companies have failed in the past. Is that right or wrong? Limited companies have failed in the past. They were not run properly. Some cooperatives failed in the past. They were not run properly. It doesn't matter what legal is. Some law firms failed. Partnership. Remember, I come from a partnership. I ran a partnership for many years. Some partnerships in our time failed. So any business form can fail if it's not run properly. The answer is to run a cooperative, a limited company, a sole proprietor, which is an individual like you and me. You can run your own business. The law allows you to register as a sole proprietor. You can succeed or fail based on how you run the business. I think the issue is that how do we run business? To give you an example, cooperatives in Kenya are very successful.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, Energy Minister Peter Kapala has noted that Zambia has had challenges previously in ensuring a steady supply of petroleum products across the country. Speaking at the handover ceremony of newly constructed a petroleum storage depot in Chipata at Mtelenguleni, Eastern Province, Mr. Kapala said the Chipata fuel depot, with the capacity of over 7 million litres, was the 6th one to be constructed in an effort to improve service delivery to the Zambian people. And Eastern Province Minister Peter Piri says government will continue to support the private sector with sufficient electricity and fuel for businesses to thrive. Mr. Kapala said there is need to create jobs outside government through the implementation of various projects in sectors such as energy and agriculture, among others.
The government has constructed a petroleum storage depot in Chipata District, Eastern Province, to be servicing the entire province. Chipata Petroleum Depot was constructed at a total cost of 38 million United States dollars by a petroleum supply and distribution company, Dalbeeds International Limited, and constructed by BSL Infrastructure. Speaking at the handover ceremony at the Mutengoleni area, Energy Minister Peter Kapala says this will help enhance fuel storage and distribution in the province and the country at large.
Our expectation that with the commissioning of this depot, fuel shortages due to lack of storage space in this part of the country will be a story of the past. Distinguished invited guests, this development resonates well with the fact that Eastern Province is endowed with potential and a lot of developmental projects which include, among others, maintenance of feeder roads, agriculture development projects, and 3, the Great East Road Rehabilitation Project, which is connecting Zambia to the Nakara-Baira Development Corridor.
And the Eastern Province Minister Peter Piri says government remains committed to supporting the private sector with a flawless supply of electricity and fuel for businesses to thrive.
But Honorable Peter C. Kapala MP, Minister of Energy, is here to commission the Chipata Fuel Depot, Kasenengwa.
More importantly, this depot will ease the distribution of products in the Eastern Province side of the country. We have been moving fuel from Lusaka, sometimes from Copperbelt, to try and distribute it to the eastern part of the country. But with the opening of this depot, the distribution will be much easier, and all the fuel products.
Meanwhile, Dalbit International Limited Executive Director Mavoto Nyirenda says his company is happy to contribute in improving the energy capacity in Zambia.
Kasenengwa Fuel Depot brings on board an additional, as we heard, 7 million liters of storage capacity to Zambia. It gives the people across Eastern Province closer access to energy, the energy that is essential for the continued and sustainable development of Zambia. This fuel depot in Kasenengwa, built by Dalbit International, like I said, in partnership with their subcontractor, BSL Infrastructure Limited, with the help of hundreds of local workers, will address difficulties associated with access of fuel in the province. Subject to pricing dynamics, Honorable Minister, the depot offers re-export opportunities to Western Malawi.
The ceremony was also attended by traditional leaders in Eastern Province, among other high government ranking officials. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News.
Newly recruited health workers whose names are not appearing in the government database have demanded that government quickly rectify the problem to ensure that they are not disadvantaged. The victims, who are believed to be over 100, have told Camnet News in an interview that they fear being replaced if the problem is not quickly resolved. Meanwhile, Health Minister Silva Masebo has assured the affected persons that as long as their names were published in the newspapers, no one will replace them. She says the problem will be corrected in the shortest possible time and has disputed assertions that those whose names were not in the paper are being given employment letters.
These are among the 145 newly recruited health workers whose names are not appearing in the government database. These health workers have told this reporter that they are surprised to be told that their names are not in the database when they were genuinely recruited and their names published in the daily newspapers. The health workers now fear that they might be replaced if the problem is not urgently resolved, and have wondered why they are being told to write letters by the Health District Administrative Office when the problem can easily be resolved.
What to our name in the newspaper, so they just said like they have issues with the system, but up to now, today is Friday, we've been coming here every day, but they don't give us a concrete answer for us to know what the way forward about this issue.
All we just want is an explanation. We are here at the PHO's office. We want answers. We don't want feedback that we'll get back to you or we'll investigate. No, we want answers. We want real answers. We want our names to be appearing. We have no time. We have to report for duty on the 1st of September. And if they say we have to come back next week, we have to come with letters. What is that all for?
Yeah, if someone has got an evidence that the name is in the newspaper, let them enter the names in the database, then print out the letters, the appointment letters, because time is running out. Before 1 September, we have to report for for work at the district health office. We have to report there.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Sylvia Masebo has assured that all those whose names appeared in the newspapers are not appearing in the government database will be employed in the shortest possible time.
Let me also assure those affected that for as long as your name appeared, was advertised as having been offered a job, you are guaranteed to be employed. So my appeal is please remain calm.
The health minister also adds that his ministry has observed that some health workers were recruited in more than one province simply because they did not follow the instructions that each person was supposed to apply in one province. The minister says his ministry is working to see how such issues can also be resolved.
For those who applied in more than 2 places, a decision was made not to disqualify them, but to try and eliminate them from other districts, especially if they don't reside in that district. So there's a bit of cleaning up going on, but I just want to assure the public that nobody is going to be displaced by somebody else. If you are going to be removed, then there must be a very, very good reason.
The recruitment of more than 11,000 health personnel has come as a blessing to some who have stayed for many years without formal employment, hence the need to ensure that these employees are quickly sent to their respective health centers so that they get to serve the people of Zambia diligently. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo has assured the nation that the challenges with equipment at the Cancer Disease Hospital will soon be resolved, stating that government has procured spare parts to repair the damaged equipment. Ms. Masebo says some resources were in June 2022 released for the procurement of spare parts to repair the broken down equipment and has confirmed that the spare parts have arrived in the country will arrive in the country Thursday this week. The minister, however, says government has plans of opening a cancer disease facility in other provinces such as Copperbelt to ensure that people do not have to travel long distances to access the facility. And the health minister says the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 63 new COVID-19 cases out of 1,872 tests performed with no deaths.
Machines in the cancer department have not been working because they are old, and for those that are working, they've been breaking down, and as a result of that, there's been a problem there in terms of quality health service delivered in the cancer department. But what we have done as government is we did release some resources to the Cancer Disease Hospital Management to try and help them to actually ensure that they fix some of those equipment that could be fixed. They did write a report on a number of machinery which they felt could be repaired. On some it was just a spare part and so on and so forth. So that resource was actually released to them almost a month or 2 months ago. And of course these are parts that have to come from outside the country. But I'm happy to say that I think 2 days ago I was informed that the spare parts that they had imported had arrived, and I think as of yesterday and the day before yesterday, I'm aware that the engineering department are actually trying to fix them up.
In other news, former Konkola Copper Mines Provincial Liquidator Milungo Lungu has refuted claims by Konkola Copper Mines that he stole millions from the mining company during his tenure as liquidator. This is in a case in which KCM has sued its former provincial liquidator Milungo Lungu and his law firm Lungu Simwanza and Company in the High Court for the alleged grand theft of $59,336,903 United States dollars as benefits for services rendered as liquidator and $29,154,319 United States dollars and 44 cents for purported legal fees. In defense filed before court, Mr. Milingo denies allegations that he allegedly drew the said monies from the KCM.
Former Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu has responded to the allegations made by his former employer and refuted all the claims that Konkola Copper Mines had advanced in its statement of claim. Mr. Milingo Lungu has been sued by Konkola Copper Mines before the Lusaka High Court for alleged illegality in the manner in which the wages agreement and addendum was entered into. In his defense, has told court that the addendum to the agreement was legally executed between him and the official receiver. In this case, one of the largest mining operations in Zambia, KCM, claims that the remuneration agreement and addendum for Mr. Lungu are illegal, contrary to the provision of the Corporate Insolvency Act, further claiming that Mr. Lungu breached his duties when he withdrew over $59 million United States dollars from KCM for his personal endeavors and has failed to account for the said monies. However, Mr. Lungu, who has argued in his further defense and refuted claims of illegally getting monies from KCM, he has also stated that pursuant to the consent settlement agreement, the official receiver on behalf of KCM undertook to engage him to carry out a reconciliation of accounts and determine any fees that may be outstanding due to payable to him in relation to his work as provisional liquidator of KCM. The former provisional liquidator also argues that KCM seeking to dispute his wages as provisional liquidator, he is improperly before court as KCM is not a creditor, and further no meeting of creditors duly constituted in accordance with the Corporate Insolvency Act resolved to challenge the wages during his tenure as provisional liquidator. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Two business firms that have sued politician William Banda before the Lusaka High Court for allegedly uttering defamatory words against them, which resulted in clients allegedly abandoning their lodges, resulting in them making loss, have asked the court to enter default judgment in the matter. Raphael Lesa, trading as Raphael Lesa General Dealers, and Evelyn Shumba, trading as Reveal Executive Lodge, has cited United Party for National Development Chairman for special duties William Banda in the case. The plaintiffs have contended that default judgment should be entered in their favor because Mr. Banda has failed to enter appearance and defend himself against the allegations as required by the law.
Two business firms that recently sued United Party for National Development UPND chairman for special duties, William Banda, for alleged defamation, are now requesting the Lusaka High Court to enter default judgment in the case on ground that Mr. Banda has failed to file his appearance or defense in the case as required by the law. In this case, Raphael Lesa, trading as Raphael Lesa General Dealers, and Evelyn Shumba, trading as Reveal Executive Lodge, wants the High Court to enter default judgment in their favor because ever since the case was commenced, Mr. Banda has failed to defend himself. According to a statement of claim that was earlier filed in court, the plaintiff disclosed that on the 3rd of September 2021, while in the company of journalist, Mr. Banda stormed Reveal Executive Lodge, where he interrogated Raphael Lesa, trading as Raphael Lesa General Dealers, and maliciously uttered defamatory words against him by alleging that he was in possession of maize from the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit.
What I know, when those people who received the distribution of meal, I'm aware of them, 5 of them are there to testify that they got this meal during election period. On that one, I'll dispute, because during election period, nothing came at my place.
The plaintiff had also submitted that during the period that Mr. Banda stormed the lodge, the said lodge was booked by Plan International for a workshop, and a number of individuals, however, checked out of the said lodge after the incident occurred. The companies want the Lusaka High Court to order Mr. Banda of the ruling UPND to pay them damages for inquiry to their reputation, damages for loss of business, and also grant them an order restraining Mr. Banda from publishing defamatory remarks against them. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Iteji Member of Parliament Mtinta Twambo has urged persons with disability to work in coordination if they are to benefit from various empowerment programs in the country. Addressing a group of persons with disabilities in his constituency, Mr. Twambo says most of the empowerment opportunities, such as those under the Constituency Development Fund and the Farmer Input Support Program (FISPs), have been seized by abled people as persons with disabilities have not been proactive in seeking to be included. He further challenged them to set an example for their fellows to show that they too can excel amidst challenges. The Iteji lawmaker has encouraged them to seize all empowerment opportunities being provided by the current administration, stating that they are for all citizens alike.
For the disabled community to benefit in everything, you need a coordinated group. You need a group which is working together. You need a group which is visionary. You need a group which is knowledgeable. You should have information. This CDF, if you don't have the right information, I'm going to have to apply. Me, I will be supporting you as a member of parliament because I'm interested in your welfare, right? Yes. But you know, Gabao Council, because you are not doing the right thing. So we want to ensure that in Iteji we invest in equipping you with knowledge. That will make it very easy for you to start benefiting in all the activities that are brought by the government. Social welfare, we need to see to it that our disabled community is benefiting. FISIP, if they qualify, they need to benefit. All the other empowerment programs that are in the district, we need to become very sure about it. You people, you are everyone is benefiting through this association. When we do that, then people will know that we are dealing with the right government, and the government is ready to help you which are benefiting my programs.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We've taken our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts! This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Welcome back. Continue with the rest of the news. Kanyama Disabled Persons Association has appealed to persons with disabilities to make use of the facility as it is a money-making venture. Speaking to Camnet News, they say persons with disabilities should not relax as there is plenty for them to do. They add that amongst the challenges the association is facing is inadequate equipment such as tailoring machines, hence calling on government to help.
At its core, skills development enables people to learn something new in order to get a job and even begin a long life career. A lot of the Zambian population faces unemployment, with the majority being the youth and the most vulnerable. One of the most effective ways to eradicate poverty is to educate impoverished people by teaching and transferring skills to those who would otherwise lack these opportunities. The country can vastly improve their prospects at not only finding a job but also in improving the country's economy. Camnet TV caught up with Kanyama Disabled Persons Association Skills Center, who have appealed to persons with disabilities to make use of the center. Skills development is for the country's most marginalized groups, giving individuals access to economic opportunities that would otherwise never have access to. They have encouraged women to take part in different activities at the center. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Citizens' Environmental and Social Concern CESCO has urged the government to avoid the temptation of falling for forced plastic solutions, which are mainly propagated by the plastic manufacturing companies, such as the promise of recycling to end plastic pollution. Justice Minister Mulambo HAKAINDE has called for the amendment of the Waste Management Act to make recycling mandatory, but CESCO Executive Director Conwell Hakapia feels the move is not sustainable. Mr. Hakapia says the best proven workable solution is reducing the production of plastic by burning most single-use plastics, products and packages such as plastic bags, straws and styrofoam, and instituting tough extended products. Statistics show that out of all plastic waste ever generated on Earth, which is about 9.1 billion tons, only 9% has been recycled. This is because virgin plastic is cheaper than recycled plastic, and not all plastics can be recycled, while most of it can only be downcycled.
Once manufactured, it never goes anywhere. It might fragment into smaller microparticles, but it will be in our natural environment for hundreds of years. And this is simply because plastic is an oil product, deliberately engineered to last forever. But unfortunately, it is designed to be used for a very short period of time, as short as 15 minutes. And if the plastic recycling promise was the almighty plastic solution as purported, West colonialism would not exist. This is because the developed Western countries would not export their plastic waste, but they would simply recycle all of it. Hence, the best proven solution to the plastic pollution is reducing the plastic production. And we can only reduce plastic production, especially in our case as Zambia, by banning most single-use plastic products and packaging like plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam. And also instituting tough extended producer responsibility regulations, the polluter pays principle, and most importantly, we need to end this culture of piling our shelves with rhetoric environmental.
Preparations for the 2022 census have reached about 95% in Petauke district. Deployment of enumerators and supervisors will commence tomorrow, 20th August 2022. Petauke District Commissioner Martha Mlenga has advised the census staff to collect accurate information to help government plan for its people. She has further advised all the staffs to abstain from immoral behavior during the exercise.
I would say the work we've done is at 95% because we finished the training, we did the selection was cream, meaning 95% of the work is done. We are remaining with the dispatching them and the results, which I would rate now of the remaining percentage. I told them to observe their morals. I won't expect a married woman. I know here we have married women. Yes. And we have single. And we have married fathers. So as you go into the field, please abstain. It is not hard to abstain. Because if you don't abstain and you come back with some diseases, STIs, pregnancies, it won't help you.
End of the training, this is the beginning of deployment. So we are preparing to deploy our staff into their various areas of operation where they are going to do data collection. As we are aware that the President launched this program yesterday, he was enumerated, the first family was enumerated yesterday, and today here in Petauke we are actually beginning the same activity of deploying our staff and we start enumeration right away. So
as Petauke district, we are very prepared to go and do this national duty, giving it all the best that we can.
The United Nations has awarded Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mlenga with the International SDG Peace Award to the International Peace and Governance Council. Mr. Mlenga has been recognized as a preeminent African leader with demonstrable capacity to promote the Sustainable Development Goals. The award was presented to the minister at the 8th edition of the Pan-African Leadership Symposium and honors being held in Abuja, Nigeria. And delivering his speech at the symposium held under the theme, The Role of Inclusive Governance Towards Consolidating Peaceful Coexistence in Africa, the minister says the award has been received on behalf of the Zambian people that have been there to support his government in working hard to help improve the economic fortune of the country.
I received this award graciously, and I can assure you it is not my intelligence that has made it possible for this to be done. But I receive it on behalf of the people of Zambia that have been there to support the New Dawn government in working hard to help improve the economic fortunes of our country. The leadership of our President, His Excellency President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, has been instrumental in making our country take a national stance and improve the fortunes of the living standards of our people in my country. So, to the United Nations and the organizers, on behalf of my people of Zambia, I graciously accept this award and say thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
International and sports news coming through right after this commercial.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back now, getting into our international item. In eastern Kenya, a sunny sky can be an ominous sign of worse things to come. In Garissa, living creatures barely make it. Either death awaits or exile for those who wish to survive. It is estimated that 4.1 million people face food insecurity in the Eastern African nation. In other news, Zimbabwe inflation has jumped from 191% in June to 257% in July. A fast depreciation currency backed ordinary households into a corner. In addition to that, prolonged water shortages have meant that most Harare residents must source their own water. Here's a roundup of international news.
A sunny sky, but an ominous sign of worse things to come for the inhabitants of eastern Kenya. In Garissa, living creatures barely make it. Either death awaits or exile for those who wish to survive. Kenya is facing an unprecedented severe drought due to the cumulative impact of consecutive failed rainy seasons. I am 78-year-old, and I have never seen a severe drought like this one in my entire life. For the last 3 years, there has not been a single drop of rain. All these houses have been abandoned. Few of us remain here. We've never seen such a dire situation. The lives of pastoralists were turned upside down as livestock died and rain-fed agriculture could not grow. The fall of purchasing power led to rising rates of malnutrition. This community leader has observed the impact of climate shocks. The drought has affected our livestock, and this has taken away our economic lifeline. What is left here are people with no livestock. The only ones who can afford anything are the ones with livestock nearby who sell his or her livestock. We don't have markets where we can buy food, and we don't have farms. The only income we have is our livestock, and we have lost that. According to the National Drought Management Authority Food Security June report, 4.1 million people face food insecurity in Kenya, a figure that has increased. The Kenyan Red Cross Society and the International Committee. At the Carlos's, days often start off by fetching water. The family lives in Harare's Mabvuku township. Rising prices and a fast depreciating currency have pushed many Zimbabweans to the brink. In addition to that, prolonged water shortages have meant that most residents of Zimbabwe's capital must source their own water. There is no water coming out of our taps, so our life now is just to pump the borehole daily and carry buckets of water home. If the round trips are tiring, Carlos feels his family is lucky. The property they rent has a well, and his family can haul up buckets of water to get some extra money. This is our gold. If we are lucky, we can sell up to 12 buckets for $2 per bucket. This is how we are surviving. Living conditions continue to worsen. Inflation jumped to reach 257% in July.
The plight of the ordinary person is such that it's difficult to really survive in this economy, where prices are increasing on a daily basis.
To prevent a return to the 2008 hyperinflation, the government introduced last month gold coins as legal tenders. The country's central bank said the 22-carat coins would help stabilize the nation's currency. Before the expected effects become visible, Jeffrey and Christwish Carlos continued dining under candlelight and working multiple jobs.
Senegal's main opposition politician Ousmane Sonko on Thursday announced that he would be running for president in 2024. But the target of Sonko's message appears to be President Macky Sall, who hasn't ruled out seeking a third term. The opposition suspects that Sall will seek re-election after retaining a parliamentary majority in recent legislative elections. I say this with all the objectivity in the world. There's no one better placed than us to win the presidential election of 2024, if God be willing, and that is why we must remain focused. And it is because they are convinced of this that they have decided to put a stop to this project. When I say they, we must understand that it is Macky Sall and his regime. Sonko was a runner-up in the 2019 vote, which Sall won convincingly. The firebrand politician has accused the president of working with France to block his candidacy. France must have the dignity of Germany, which does not rely on any colony, and which is the first economic power of Europe. It must have the dignity of Norway, of Denmark, of all the other European powers. It must have the dignity of flying with its own wings, rather than continuing to suck the blood of its ex-colonies. If this is not to like France, I do not like her. Sonko's Yewi Eskanwi alliance won 80 seats in total, less than enough to sabotage the president's agenda in parliament.
We now get into sports news. The Zambia Chess Federation says sports disciplines in the country should not compete amongst themselves when it comes to the support rendered by government. Speaking to Camnet Sports, the Federation Vice President Leslie Chukose notes that some sports federations have a tendency of exaggerating their budgets because they want to be given similar amounts of resources even with different budgets. Chukuse also states that there is need to look at sports as an avenue for job creation, which is a #1 contribution of sports to the country's economic development. Chukuse adds that sports brings value addition to the country, especially to the youths.
I advise Sport Association that as they try to request for funding, let them not request for funding in comparison to other sports. They must not compare. Like, for example, we let them do their best, market their sports, and then the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry and the government must support sports because they've got a duty to support sport. So I think for me that is then the most important thing. Also, I would like to thank the World Chess Body, FIDE, and congratulations to the winning candidate. We had elections for the World Chess President, and Akadi won. Congratulations, and thank you for donating to Zambia and to all 50 chess boards.
Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news. But before we go, here are the headlines once again. Stakeholders call for violent-free by-elections. Newly recruited health workers demand to be added to the database. Cooperatives have not failed, claims President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA. And in international news, worsening drought threatens lives in eastern Kenya. And in sports, different sporting disciplines advised against exaggerating expenditure. Well, that is all, but before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of 1 John 5 verse 12, and it reads, "He who has the Son has life. He who does not have the Son of God does not have life." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.